Hey everybody, Jeff Bosick here, and glad to have you on our first of a little mini webinar series here that we're going to do over the next several weeks on all about sourcing. I know sourcing is a huge topic for you guys. We recently polled you guys, and one of the things, actually number two, a very close second to the number one, which was about process, which we're going to be doing some stuff about that as well. Was sourcing. Sourcing arguably is the most important part of your e-commerce business because it's the beginning. I mean, if you don't source right, if you don't source products that will sell, if you don't source products from a reliable, manufacturer or source, to use the pun, then it's going to be really hard to get off ground. And we know that that really hurts a lot of people's e-commerce businesses, especially when you're starting. And hey, one of my mentors used to always say, the biggest thing that stops people is the start. And so we definitely don't want you guys to be stopped by the start. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why that was a huge topic for you. So really quick, I don't want to talk a lot of time. I want to get out of the way so we can get Alan on here to give you guys some really amazing, critical, and important content here about sourcing. But what I want to do really quick is we will do, these are kind of, we're kind of, Alan and I kind of call these like, in the States, it's like lunchtime. So we're kind of calling these like lunchtime webinars. I know some of you are in Europe and Asia and things like that, and some of you maybe even be listening to this potentially later on a recording, but we want to make these very impactful, short and sweet for you, since especially in the States we are doing these during the day. So we will get to some Q&A, but what we were going to do is ask you, we're not going to bring people on the line and things like that. It just gets too nutty. Somebody has feedback, somebody's headset isn't working, somebody's dog's in the background, something like that. So if you do have a question, this is what we're going to do, is write your question down in the questions section in the GoToWebinar control panel. And as soon as you think of it, don't want you to forget it, okay? And then we will try to get to as many, hey Jason, questions as we can. If we do not get to your question, what I request that you do is we will post about this, the recording of this, in the Facebook group. So what I'd like for you to do is ask your question there in the Facebook group inside that same post. And I'll remind you of that when me or someone else on our marketing team posts that in the group. We'll remind you, hey, if you had a question and we just couldn't get to you, ask your question again, and we'll make sure that it gets answered. Because one of the things here at GDW is we're very committed to answering your guys' questions as best we can. And so we are in the e-commerce business, but really at the end of the day, we are in a help customers business. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to get out of the way. Now, for those of you that, I know there may be some people in here that don't know who Alan is per se. Alan is a 16+ year e-commerce veteran. I can't think of anything that I know of, and I haven't known Alan for his entire career, but I can't think of anything that I know of that he probably hasn't done or touched or seen or had some experience of in e-commerce. He is a master of specific things, though, one of those being sourcing. I don't know anybody, and I know some pretty heavy hitters in the e-commerce industry, and I don't know anybody that knows how to source as effectively as Alan does, and then take those and then launch them into the marketplace. He's a family man, and just really great person, and just has a commitment to helping you guys grow your business, because from experience, nothing beats experience. And Alan has experienced a lot of success in this industry, and so he knows what it feels like when you have that success, and he wants to help you guys do that as best he can. So with that, I will get out of the way and bring on Mr. Alan Basinger. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Just got out of a meeting with some suppliers. It's like I had to kick them out of my office and say, sorry guys, I got a webinar to do. I don't just source in China. I source in the United States. I source in Mexico, so I have no problems. And I will source products in China, and then I'll come back and maybe try to find a local source for it, or vice versa. So sourcing is something I do all the time, and it's been exciting. I really enjoy finding new opportunities and then launching those, improving them to be right. So as Jeff was saying, this is kind of a lunchtime webinar, and so I'm going to go fast and heavy. It's not going to be one of the typical 4-hour type webinars. We want to try to get through some things really quick. And what I've done is I've got about 11 bullet points of information that I put together on sourcing, the do's and don'ts, the ins and outs, the mistakes that I've made or seen others make, and the things that we've done to correct or resolve those things, and just kind of the things to look out for and stuff like that. And that would be a really big set of webinars all by itself. So we're going to break it out into smaller little mini lunchtime webinars to make it so that you guys can digest it quick and easy, and then we'll put those things out. So I wrote a blog post about this not long ago as we started this series of topics, because people kept asking the same questions over and over again, and we take a lot of people to China, and I know when we go, it's very busy. When you go to China direct and you're dealing with manufacturers, it's really exciting. And you're kind of jet lagged, so your time clock isn't on, and the days are really busy because you spend money and time to go over there and source. You want to be successful, so a lot of things I try to go over may or may not be, I guess, how would you put it, remembered probably is a good way to think about it, that we go over a lot of this stuff while we're there, but it may not be covered. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put together this series, and it'll give people who are thinking about going direct or who have gone direct already more resources for you to be able to avoid pitfalls, or come up with ideas, or know how to construct a purchase, know how to deal with the details and the things that need to happen to ensure you're successful, because we see a lot of the same mistakes over and over again, and a lot of times it's pretty much really simple things that are things that we need to be aware of to be able to avoid. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are trading companies versus manufacturers. And this is a really big challenge across the board. And I'm going to actually show you some examples of this in a little bit. But a lot of people may think they're buying from a manufacturer, but they're buying from really buying from a trading company, some type of a middleman. And generally, you really need to know the difference. And the reasons are varied, because I'm not afraid to go and buy from a trading company when I'm launching a new product. But what I am afraid of with the trading company is that they won't be able to handle the volume, because when we launch a product and it's successful, the volume gets to be very large. And there's some limitations in dealing with trading companies that you don't necessarily have with manufacturers. Now, the benefit of a trading company is generally you can get lower MOQs. You don't have to buy as much. A manufacturer has to be able to make money, and generally they do that when they run a product, and it's a manufacturing run. For those of you that don't know GDW, we're a prep and packaging. We're a licensed packaging company in the state of Texas. We're also do FBA prep. We do long-term storage. We do the sourcing trips. We do a lot of logistics for people. So what we understand is that when we want to do a packaging run for a customer, we want to run the whole thing in one big shot. And the larger runs are actually less expensive than shorter runs, because we can get the benefits of volume and be able to expand upon that. We get better pricing on the supplies needed to manufacture the product. And generally, if you're a manufacturer, you have 1, 2, 3, or 4, maybe a few more types of product that you manufacture, and you have manufacturing lines, and all day they're pushing out this same product all day. And so that's very efficient because all day it's the same thing over and over again. If you have to stop and do something custom, then you have to stop your main production, retool for the new customized product, and then run that, and then stop again, retool to go back to what you were doing or to the next product, and start again. And every time you have to stop, retool, and start, it's expensive. It costs money. You have downtime, and what manufacturers don't want is downtime. And that's generally why they look for higher MOQs. So there are benefits to dealing with those trading companies, but there's also limitations. One of the limitations is they probably can't customize. More than likely, they're going to sell what they bought from a manufacturer. Their offerings are going to be what they buy from the manufacturers at the manufacturer's MOQ, and then they break it up and sell pieces to different people, and those people go out and sell that. So you'll have limitations on MOQs. You're going to have limitations on packaging. You're going to have limitations that you need to understand and be able to address. And what we've done to be able to address those when we're looking at launching a brand new product and we only want to buy 300, 400, 500 units to get started, is basically we will repackage. And that gives us a couple of benefits here. Benefit for us is the fact that we can repackage is that we can brand the product. So we can take a generic product and repackage it as a branded product here and sell it as a branded product. As a private label seller, that gives us some benefits, right? And that's something we offer our customers as well. The other thing that it does for us is it allows us to help protect our intellectual property. I've found over time that the more manufacturers I deal with and the more I have them do for me, packaging, barcode labeling, customization, things like that, the more likely that I'm going to end up with a piggybacker with my exact product on my listing because the manufacturer is actually the piggybacker. Nowadays with brand protection and in private labeling on Amazon, if you do it right, you can protect yourself. So it's not as big of a concern. But what is a concern is cash flow, right? So if you have to go and buy 3,000 or 4,000 units of something at $5 a pop, you can see how you can spend 15 grand in just product. Then you need to ship it, you need to prep it, you need to get it into your sales channel, and you need to start selling it. And it really can eat up your cash very quickly. So, and most of us who are just starting out are limited, but even if you're not just starting out, if you have a business that's established and you're doing $1 million a year, you still need to have a budget. So it doesn't mean you have unlimited money. It just means your budget may be a little bit different. So managing our cash is important. So being able to launch new products quickly by using a trading company to get those smaller quantities and then repackage as a private label does give us some advantage in speed to market over someone who takes months in package design, negotiating long-term contracts and things like that that you would need to do with the manufacturer. Generally, when I go to China, I'm going to go to one of the fairs or to a market. A lot of the times, it's easier at the fairs to differentiate your suppliers, because at the fairs there's a lot more cost. The fairs are temporary. The cost to get to set up in the fair costs more, and a manufacturer is going to be there, and they're generally a manufacturer of a single type of product. And that, if a manufacturer manufactures in steel, that's what they do. They're a steel manufacturer. So they're going to be able to manufacture anything you want in the type of steel with the type of manufacturing that they do, be it cold pressed or some type of die cut or forging or something along those lines. So a lot of times you can just go to the booth where that manufacturer is, and you can walk in and you can almost tell, yes, this is a manufacturer, because all they have are steel spatulas, for example. and that's it. And they have several different models, and they may have some different handles on them and things like that. But that's pretty much it. It's that style of manufacturing and that same type of steel product and things like that that's going to allow you to tell that this is probably a manufacturer. Usually a trading company is going to basically just sell anything anybody asks for. And they may call themselves a kitchen manufacturer, but they have everything from appliances to spatulas to plastic products to steel products to aluminum products and everything in between, silicone and everything else. Manufacturers don't manufacture in that many products. Usually they manufacture in a single product. So it's usually a pretty quick tell if you go into a market or a fair and the booth is loaded with 47,000 different types of products. It manufactured in different materials. So that'll generally help you out as well. The other thing I do is I have a list of questions that I ask, and they're very common questions, but they do give me some tells. I don't know if you guys play poker at all, but poker is about tells, right? You're looking to see if somebody's bluffing, and usually if somebody's bluffing, they're lying, and usually if they're lying, they have a tell. And what you're trying to do is look for those tells. So you want to talk and have conversation with these people. One of the things I do is do you have, is your manufacturing facility close, and can we go and visit it? I would like to visit it before I purchase a large order. And manufacturer is going to be, sure, no problem, or they're going to say, oh, we're over here, and they're going to give you the address and tell you where it's at, and it may be in a different province in China if you're in China, it may be in a different state if you're in the United States, but they're going to at least be able to give you an address and tell you where it is. And if you don't feel comfortable and you want to take it to the next step, you can arrange a visit to the actual plant. In larger purchases with higher dollar values, I definitely want to go to the plant and see what is happening there. Oh, pardon me for 1 second, guys. I just realized I didn't turn my phone on silent. So that's it. So we'll go to the plant, and especially on a larger purchase, want to do that. But I'm going to ask that question all the time because it does give us some information. Also, I'm going to ask about customization. If they're a trading company, most of the time they're not going to be able to do any kind of customization. But you will find trading companies that can help you with customization because they're just going to jack the MOQ up to what the manufacturer wants to be able to get there and help you get that customized product. The other things I'm going to ask about are the types of products they sell, and I have no problems coming straight out and saying which products are yours and which ones do you represent. There's no shame in asking that question because what you'll find is some of the manufacturers only have a very limited amount of product, but they may represent themselves as larger by repping other manufacturers' products in their booths at these fairs and stuff like that. And then you find, and you can narrow it down, and you find out there was one company that we went to, and I'm going to give you guys an example of this. There was one company we went to that we were looking at the products, and they fell within a niche. So the booth was specifically in one niche, which was cool. Okay, so I'm looking, and immediately it's in a niche, and they only had like 2 or 3 different, materially different types of products. Let's look at it that way. They were materially different. Boink. One was a sponge-based material. The other one was, it made 3. A metal-based product, and then a product that is an abrasive product, like sandpaper, abrasives. So I saw 3 different material types of products: steel or metal, sponge, and abrasive. And although they were in the niche, the product material variety was a little wide. So I asked them my basic questions, and when I asked them which of the products were theirs and which ones do they rep, what I found out was this was an abrasives manufacturer, and what they manufactured were abrasives, and they repped the other products. So I knew that I could customize and do things with the abrasive side, but on the steel and sponge-based products, it didn't make sense because they didn't actually manufacture those products themselves. So asking those questions, it doesn't hurt. It's not rude to ask those type of questions. So that helps me to do that. So that's when you're there and you're direct. You can kind of see what's happening. Now there are other challenges because not everybody goes, right? I'm sorry, but a lot of people just they may not be able to travel anymore. So I'm going to bounce over here real quick. They may not be able to travel anymore, so they may use this. This is what everybody starts on, right? This is what all the gurus tell. Go to Alibaba and find your stuff there. So I actually did a quick search earlier for vape pen starter kits. I just did vape pens, and the vape pen starter kit popped up. So I drilled down into this. And so here we are looking at all these different companies which on Alibaba are representing themselves as manufacturers, right? And what you'll find is that you need to dig a little bit more into these and see what's happening, because a lot of them really do represent themselves as manufacturers. A couple of things you're going to see is some of them, if they're going to sell you really small sets, very low and small minimum orders, they may not be a manufacturer. A lot of manufacturers will give you samples or offer you samples if you pay for the shipping. A lot of the trading companies don't. The other thing I look at are here. I want to look at the company itself, right? So you can drill down on Alibaba and look at the actual company. And now I ignored the pictures because look at these pictures. These are generic. If you notice this. And look, it's Shenzhen Green Sound High Tech Company. Doesn't really fit what their products are necessarily. If we look at the picture of the manufacturer, that's a pretty generic photo. You can't really see that it's actually manufacturing a electronic cigarette. The same thing with this photo. If you've ever been to China, these buildings don't look this clean. And the sky is not blue in any of the manufacturing facilities. But if you look, you can tell this photo's been photoshopped. So you can't really tell if this is really the right place. And if the name here doesn't seem to match the name here. So you can tell right away, this gives me some pause to go, okay, this is not necessarily it. The cool part is that you can also grab more information. Just because it says they're verified doesn't mean they're verified as being a manufacturer of this particular product. It just means that the company's been verified as being in this location in China. And as it says right here, it's a manufacturer / trading company. This is not uncommon at all. We have a partner who they are a manufacturer / trading company, and as a manufacturer, they manufacture picture frames. But they're also a trading company, and so they represent a lot of other manufacturers, not just that, but as a manufacturer, they manufacture that one product. So this is not unusual. You just need to understand it and see where it can take you, because it's going to give you some challenges as you start to scale. You know, you can't really verify this as much, and you can ask them. They say they're FDA certified. Well, they need to provide it. What we do see is that Alibaba is working extremely hard in resolving this type of stuff and giving more information so that we can do it. So, you can drill down in here and get a lot of good information on these companies. Where are they? Which trade shows do they go to? Look, they're going to be at CES in Las Vegas. Interesting. So you're able to get that, and you're able to look and see, is this company, if this company is a manufacturer, now we can see they have some trademarks. Nice, this may be a Chinese trademark. Yeah. So it's a Chinese trademark. So they do own a few trademarks in China for these products. More I drill into this, the more it looks like they may actually be a manufacturer now. so we can continue to drill down and look at what's up. This is just them marketing to us. Oh, get out of the way. Anyway, so I will drill down into these to look and see what's up. I'm going to look at this company. I'm going to drill down into all. There's not enough information here. Here we go. Camry Tech. Here we go. Look at this company. So we saw the last one, right? It said it was a manufacturer trading company. Now look at this one. So they have a whole series of products that fall within the same area, right? The e-cigarette space. But if we notice, most of that stuff is steel. There's some wood manufacturing here. There's batteries, of course. There's glass. There's different types of metal that need to happen. So they may assemble or manufacture one piece and then buy and or assemble the other pieces to it. We can see that they're registered. We have their addresses. So we can really drill down and start doing our due diligence on this company to see if they're legitimately a manufacturer. I love the pictures here. The girl's actually using the product. I will do as much as to actually look for the company using like Google Maps, drill down on the address and see what's there and see where it's located. Guangdong in Shenzhen, we actually go through there quite frequently. There's a lot of good stuff there. They have their own website, so I would drill into their company website and start looking and seeing what's up. This is Alibaba warning us that we're about to go off their site. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but okay. So now the company's Camry Tech, and we can see their products. So these are their different products that they sell. Again, they may not manufacture all these products. From the looks of it, this is their product. Maybe this is their product, but some of these others may or may not be. They may have other companies that are manufacturing, and they're buying and consolidating into a sales platform. They do have service centers. So again, a different company may be the one that does e-liquid. Or it could be a roll-up of several different companies. We don't know. We can definitely continue to drill down into it. But the more I drill down into it, the more I can look at this and feel a little more comfortable in dealing with them. Because generally, a small trading company isn't going to put this much effort in, isn't going to have multiple websites, isn't going to have this much information. So I can probably feel a little more comfortable with them in moving forwards with them. We can see that they say they can do 8,000 sets a week of this product. And they give us a little bit more information. So this is definitely not a whole lot. Oh, you go to get their profile, you just go to their website. Anyway, this is just kind of the stuff. So what I'm going to do is my due diligence and drill down. The next thing I would do with these people is I would contact them. So I would contact the supplier, and I'm going to ask them, where are they located? Can I visit the factory? You know, do they have the capabilities of customization? If I give them the specifications, can they do custom? These things are called mods. These little boxes that hold the batteries. Can they do a custom mod if I give them the design? What materials can they manufacture it out of? Can they do custom packaging? I want to ask them the questions that will help me to determine if this is a trading company or a manufacturer. Because Alibaba has a challenge, and the challenge is that half of these people, at least half of these people, maybe more, are trading companies, and they represent themselves as something else. And so what happens is you're going to go and buy something from them. Like here, let's just look at this one here. They're selling these products. You can buy 30 of them for $1.38 to $2.30. By the way, I noticed that a lot of them will lowball here, but they're selling them for that much. You have a limited amount, and they've done $10,000 in the last 6 months. Hey, they got a pretty good response rate, comparatively speaking. So they're fairly new. although they've been here for 2 years. I guess they're kind of new on that. The challenge that I have is that they may be a trading company, and so they're going to want me to buy, and I'm going to go to place an order, and they're going to want 30% down. Generally, a real manufacturer, especially if you're dealing direct in China, will not require much down, if anything at all, because they manufacture all the time. Whereas I coined a term, and I call it Alibaba arbitrage. And that is basically, this guy here is going to sell you this product because they know the manufacturer. So they put up a listing and pretend to be a manufacturer. They sell it for more than what the manufacturer costs. It costs them to buy. And then what they do is they get you to put 30% down. Well, the 30% down actually covers the cost of the product. So they can basically take your 30% deposit and go and purchase the product that you ordered. Then they deliver it to you, and you pay them, and they make a 60 or a 70% profit on the deal after costs and stuff like that. Super profitable. It's a lot like retail arbitrage and going and buying some product out of like Ross or somebody like that, where you can get an already discounted product discounted even more, and then you can go and put it on Amazon and sell it for a lot. Those days are getting more difficult, but as you can see, this happens a lot here. So here's somebody lowballing. It cost a penny a set, 1 penny. Generally, very few things that have a lithium-ion battery are gonna cost a penny, but they're lowballing. Now we're gonna look, and we can drill down and start taking a look. What are they? Manufacturer, trading company, distributor, and wholesaler. Right off the bat, they're not a true manufacturer. So right off the bat, they've already told me they aren't necessarily a true manufacturer. So, you know, I'm starting to doubt this one very, very much as far as being a company that I want to deal with. Does that mean if they have a product that I like, that I don't necessarily want to deal with them? No, but it helps me to understand what I'm getting into and where the limitations may be. Generally, limitations in volume, other limitations that could be there. And I'm also probably not getting the best price I could get if I went in and found direct. So if I found a place in Alibaba that was good and I liked their product and things look good, I'm still going to ask those questions, right? Can I come visit your factory? Where is it located? You know, and then all the customization questions about customizing the different parts of the product and what my minimum order quantities will be, and then things like that to help out. So hopefully that is helping you guys out a little bit. But Alibaba has its challenges. Any of the online places are going to have that arbitrage effect. So you want to ask those same questions inside that. And basically those questions are going to be based on the product. But it's generally things like packaging, customization, inserts, minimum order quantities, factory visits, and then it's asking, hey, do you manufacture this product, or is this just one you represent? You know, I'd ask them that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be honest with you, but if everything's pointing to me to be potentially a trading company, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to see how they respond. All right. Anyway, so minimum order quantities, customizing of package. Can you customize the packaging? Can I customize the color? Can I customize the material? Can I give you a design and have you manufacture it? I don't know. Some people were with me last time I went to, well, no, it was October, and I went to China, and I brought some samples of a product, a pre-production sample that we made here in the United States, and it was an aluminum, some aluminum pieces and some steel pieces. So I didn't bring the whole product. What I brought was different pieces of the product. It's a way to protect myself from copies. And what I did was I went and found a company that was manufacturing in the material I was looking for, steel and aluminum, one of each. And when I was there, what I did was I asked them, you know, can you manufacture this product for me in aluminum? And the real manufacturers said no problem, and were able to call up their engineering department, call up the foreman or the head of the manufacturing, send them a couple photographs, and give me some rough ideas of what it would cost, how long it would take, if there were any mold charges and things like that that I would need to pay to start moving forwards with a product like that. The ones that were trading companies right off the bat said no, they couldn't do it. So when I started asking them to customize it in not just putting a logo on it, because putting a logo on something isn't really customizing it. It's just dithermal sublimation, screen printing, or a sticker. You know, not much. But when you start, or engraving or something like that, but when you start actually changing the design of something from its factor, say, hey, I want an e-cig that has that same 2000 2100 milliamp battery, but I want it to look like this, and I'm going to do this, and I have a whole different custom design. Can you do it? The trading companies are going to say no pretty quick. They're going to hem-haw around. They may not, you know, the ones that don't want to deal with you will just say no right away because they don't want to do it. Some of them may look at seeing if they can get their manufacturer to do it. Generally, they're going to hem-haw around a little bit. They're not going to be too direct about being able to do it, and they may ask you a lot of questions and then come back and say, we'll see. A real manufacturer is generally pretty quick going to be like, yeah, I think we can do it. That's no problem. We can customize anything. You just give us the designs. They're pretty quick about it, and then you can get some things happening. Minimum orders, deposits, how much deposit you have to put down. Generally, if you're just buying a product that they already manufacture and you're not really changing much, you're not going to have to pay a big deposit, even on Alibaba. But if it's a trading company, there's always a deposit. Even if you're direct in China, they're going to want a large deposit. Small deposits just to make sure you're serious. It's funny, I've went and bought my first purchase from a textile manufacturer at the Iwu fair, which we go to every year. I go there multiple times because it's probably one of the cheapest, least expensive places. I'll find things at places like Canton, but not necessarily. I don't go to Canton much at all. But I'll find different ideas for new release products, and I'll take those to Iwu and find manufacturers there because they're so friggin' cheap. It's hard to beat. And so anyway, this textile product that I wanted to buy, my first purchase was 25,000 US dollars, which, you know, today that's almost 7 yuan or 7 RMB per dollar. So that's a lot of money for a first purchase. And my deposit, she was kind of shy. The sales rep was kind of shy about asking for a deposit, and she asked if I minded paying a deposit, and I'm like, you know, well, depends on what it is. And the deposit was 700 yuan. It was about $100. So, you know, and she was like really, you know, kind of taken aback by that. She wasn't demanding or anything else. And the funny part is I'm like, sure, no problem. And I looked in my wallet and I didn't have it. All I had was about 300 yuan on me. And I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry, I only have 300. I can come back later and do that, but is 300 good enough? And she took the 300 yuan and said, yeah, that's no problem. They just wanted to make sure I was serious about it and put that deposit down. But it was nothing. It was really nothing. I think that trip, I put less than 10% of my total purchases down as deposits. And it was really only between a few products, and one of them was heavily customized. And that was my biggest deposit on that one product. So anyway, you kind of get the idea on some of those questions that are going to help you out on that part. Now, we talked a little bit about pros and cons of the trading company. You know, the pros are smaller minimum order quantities. They generally have it in a warehouse in stock already, so your lead times are almost non-existent. Whereas with the manufacturer, you're going to be put in a manufacturing queue, and you're going to be behind some other people who are already ahead of you, unless you are the big fish and you're making the biggest purchase and you're their biggest customer, in which case you may be able to be pushed to the front of the queue. Trading companies, again, they go to the manufacturer, they buy the minimum order quantity, they warehouse it in their warehouse, and then they sell it off in smaller pieces. So they're going to have it in stock and be able to have it to you right away. The cons are limited customization, higher deposits, and in the long term, they won't be able to keep up with your volume very well, and you're paying a little bit more for the convenience of not having to buy that big MOQ. Is it worth it? Many times, yes. Long term, is it worth it? In my opinion, no. And generally, once I get a product moving, if I have been buying it from what I feel like or know is a trading company, I will begin the process of finding a manufacturer, and I will have my sourcing agent who works for me on the ground in China go and start finding potential manufacturers. They'll do the work for me. They'll actually visit the plants for me. They'll send me photographs of the plants and everything else so that I don't necessarily have to go visit every single time. And then I may schedule a plant trip when I go back, since I do go 4 times a year. And so that's the pros and cons of the trading company. The pros of the manufacturer is it's a manufacturer. Generally, they're going to be able to handle larger volumes. They're going to be able to customize in just about any form or fashion that you want. Of course, your minimum order quantity is going to be there. You'll probably have tooling charges, or what they call a mold charge, that you may have to pay to get it moving, and your pricing is going to be better. The cons, you're going to have a longer lead time. So the true manufacturers are going to put you in the queue, and when it may only take them a couple weeks to run it and have it packaged and get it all ready, but you may have a couple of week wait while you're in the queue behind somebody else, and so you're going to have a longer lead time there. They may not be able to do everything for you. Some manufacturers just don't want to handle packaging. It's out of their wheelhouse. They don't feel comfortable with it, so they're not your packager, and their packaging may not be up to your retail standards that you want to manufacture, you want them to do. So what happens is the manufacturer makes one part, and then you got to it gets sent to a packaging company. The packaging company actually packages it, and then they send it back to the manufacturer after they finish, and then it gets sent off to the port and everything else after you pay. So you end up with longer lead times when sourcing from the manufacturer. So generally that's it on that one. Real quick, it's just like I said, this was a pretty quick presentation on that. Let's go ahead and go past that. So all this being said, when you're looking at sourcing, it's all Greek. What I always like to say is you don't know what you don't know until you actually do it. And so when you want to source, excuse me, sorry about that. You don't know what you don't know until you actually do it, and you may want some help your first time. What we do at GDW is we take people sourcing, and we have our Asia super sourcing experience. We do this 4 times a year now. The last year was the first time. I usually only went 3 times a year for myself, but I had a lot of people who wanted to go in October, so we did an October trip last year. I still only find 3 times is good enough for my particular sourcing needs, but we do 4 trips. And what we'll do is we actually take you to the markets. We show you the difference between trading companies and manufacturers. We show you how to ask those questions. We have all the logistics on the ground. We introduce you to sourcing agents. We introduce you to logistics companies that can help with the backside to help you get translators and things like that. And we basically set you up so that you can go again on your own comfortably and be able to source independent of us and not necessarily be reliant on us for everything. But we also have some other benefits that we give you as well, and that's basically we have the logistics and all the importing capacity to be able to handle it. And we're kind of like a co-op. That's the way I initially put this together. And that is that we get more buying power and we get more shipping power if we go together and buy and ship, because then there's enough of us buying that we're filling up multiple containers, 40-foot containers of product shipping back into the United States, but we also do ship into the UK, Germany, and other places. But particularly if you want to enter like the United States market, we can help you to be able to consolidate our shipments and your shipments and other customer shipments together in our containers and bring them into the U.S., which gives you the absolute best shipping prices available. If you want to win in the e-commerce game moving forwards, you have to be able to source at the most efficient and best price. You can't do it using express shipping via air freight or express door-to-door shipping. It's just too expensive. And there's way too many sellers making money who can go direct and buy less than container loads and ship LTC. And LTC means they're shipping basically a pallet or multiple pallets worth of product on a container. That's still not the best price. The absolute best price is container-based shipping, meaning filling an entire container and shipping that whole thing. And in doing so, with duty and shipping and all the little pieces that come with it, we find that normal, small-sized, what would be if we look at the Amazon world and we consider standard-sized product in Amazon, the individual per shipping costs on a smaller product is in the pennies per unit, versus air freight, which is substantially more, versus door-to-door, which can be $1, $1.50, $2 plus a unit. Now, of course, larger items are going to cost more because you take more volume up in the container. But as a co-op, if everybody's paying based only on the volume that they use in the container, and we share that cost amongst everybody who goes with us, then you get the benefit of that sharing, which gives everybody a win on shipping prices. And at that point, it gives us the advantage over everybody else because our cost to land the product in the U.S. and get it into our sales channel is lower than most of our competitors, allowing us to compete with the big boys on price. And Amazon is price sensitive, eBay's price sensitive, Shopify's price sensitive. Basically, they're all price sensitive. Amazon knows what they think the market needs to be, and they will even suggest to you in your Seller Central account that you need to lower your prices if you want to be competitive. And if you look on Amazon, because I'll use them because we sell on there a lot, if you look on Amazon, almost all the time, the #1 bestseller of a product is also one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest. So you got to compete on price as well as quality, as well as your differentiator in most cases. In all cases, no. But in most cases, you want to be able to do that. And the only way you can do that is by getting the best prices, by going direct, by shipping like the big boys, and by being able to buy the product and land it in the United States at the best price available. So how do we do that? Well, we help you do that by introducing you to agents, introducing you to sourcing agents, introduce you to manufacturers, introduce you to the markets, put all the logistics together for you to be able to do that, help you with all the different pieces of moving your adventure together. And it really is. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to work with everybody. Every single day I get to work with the group, so it's a lot of fun. We're doing things a little different this year. Generally, we've been going to EWU quite frequently. We pretty much opened up EWU and started bringing a lot of people there regularly. But I don't think China is the only place that we should source. It's a global community, and there's a demand for products marketed all over the world. You get different quality, you get different types of products. There are products that are unique to different regions in the world, and uniqueness and differentiation are the key to continuing to be successful and launch successful products. So this year we're going to do some dual trips, starting with this April trip. The April trip is going to be Thailand and then back to EWU. I've been in Thailand at the manufacturing shows. They have a lot of manufacturing. You'd be surprised at the number of products. Matter of fact, I think I put a list of that on our page, gdwinc.com/Asia, and it kind of shows that. But we're going to do Thailand. Super inexpensive to get to Thailand, super inexpensive to stay in Thailand. Hotels are cheap, food is cheap. There's a lot of people who speak English. They're a tourist-based economy. They treat people very well, and it's a great experience. Thailand is great. There are so many expats there. It's amazing. You go and kind of retire to that place, but it's a lot of fun, and they have a lot of manufacturing, a lot in surprising areas that you wouldn't think of. You may think traditional handmade craft things. They have a lot of that, but they also do quite a bunch of other stuff, from tires to electronic assembly to quite a bit of other products, to nutraceuticals and natural products, things like that. So there's a lot. And so we're going to do a Thailand trip. We're going to go to one of the main shows in Thailand. We have everything from concierge to travel. We're going to do market tours every single day. We have your travel concierge. We've already set up a block of hotel accommodations in a 5-star Western hotel, so you get the amenities of a standard hotel that you would do. You can find super cheap places in Thailand. I mean, like $25 a day. And some people try to pass that off as a 5-star hotel or a 4-star hotel. I would beg to differ. It's probably a 2 or a 3-star in my experience. The 4 and 5-star hotels, and the 5-star hotels in Thailand, can be $1,000 a night. They are truly, we will do everything and anything for you, service-oriented places that have beautiful apartments that you stay in. We're going to stay in a big-name hotel there, so we have a block of rooms that we've set up, so we're going to be able to get discounts for everybody. We've already set up the block, so you'll be able to get in our block. It'll keep the hotel costs down. I think we're looking at $70 a night is what I think the price is at. I have to double check that one, but I think that's where we're at. And we're talking about a good hotel with multiple restaurants and a lot of amenities. But you don't have to stay there. We're just setting up that block for you. You can stay anywhere you want, but we're going to be doing the masterminds and dinners in the hotel. And that's why we chose the hotel, because it does have the amenities to allow us to do masterminds every night, to work together, to work on your stores, for us to be able to get a lot of one-on-one time, and for us to go into more of the educational part. We do a pre-trip webinar, so everybody who signs up, we're going to do a pre-trip webinar where we're going to go into a lot of the stuff that we talked about here, but even more. We're going to provide you with forms, with different information that you need in order to be able to get there. How do you get there? Do you need visas? Where do you get the visas? All of that type of information, as well as some cultural background, so you know what's allowable and what's not allowable, because not knowing what you don't know, if you go into a country and you may not know that, for example, in some Middle Eastern countries, you don't want the sole of your foot to show to anybody's face. It's very extremely rude and can get you in a lot of trouble. Even in Thailand, you don't show the sole of your foot. So little things like that, being able to know that. But also we're going to go in and talk more about how is it going to work, and what are we going to do, and where do we meet, and how are the days going to structure out, and what are we going to do every single day. We have the post-trip launch webinar. So after the webinar, each week for 6 weeks, roughly, maybe a little long, we've run all the way up to 8 weeks. We do a post-trip launch webinar where we go over what does it take to build your listing, how do you do your keyword research, how do you structure your bullet points, how do you do your photography, how can you do your packaging, how do you make all those things happen so that you can get ahead of the curve and not be building your listings before your products show up, but have them ready. Because my goal is always to have my listings done before my products show up. Do I hit it 100% of the time? No way, but most of the time we definitely do. And that way, when the products arrive, we already have a listing in place. We're going to talk about optimizing your listings and what it takes to make them sell better. We're going to talk about marketing and launching. We'll talk about the true costs of private label, where we go into the details on duty and customs and what an HS code is and things of that type. We have our interactive Asia Trip Facebook group, so you'll be part of the Facebook group with other people who have also gone on the trip, so that you guys can continue to work together, because the relationships that you build when you go on these trips together, and when we're masterminding and we spend 10 or 15 days together in China, as well as all the webinars and everything else, are invaluable because you're all growing together and different people are at different levels. So you'll be able to ask each other for help, you'll be able to talk to each other, and I'm in those groups, so I'll be able to be there with you guys. We do office hours during the trip as well, where you can come and talk to me, because a lot of people, especially if you're new, I've seen this many times, you'll go and you think you found the product, but we're going to go over it. You think you found a product that you're interested in, but you just want someone to help validate the numbers, that you're looking at the numbers correctly, and that what you think the numbers are telling you is it. Because the number one problem I see, well, I wouldn't say one of the top problems I see is indecisiveness, when is not being able to make that decision, and getting some validation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Especially if you're new and you haven't done it a bunch and you haven't had a lot of success with it, getting someone who's been there and done it and has been successful to help validate it and say, yeah, I see the numbers look good, look good, look good. Hey, this is concerning. Here's what's going on. So I do masterminds to help you with that. But the number two problem I see is talking yourself into something because you like it when the numbers tell you it's wrong. And trust me, I'll tell you that right to your face. I have no problems telling you the truth. And I'll look at it because, you know why? I've done it myself. There are certain niches that are just really cool and I really like them, but they're crap. Or the market is really small and it's super saturated, and it's really not a smart idea to get in there unless you got a lot of money and you can buy your way in. We'll have those masterminds together where we can do that privately without having to open up your entire business to a whole lot of people. We have dinners every single night where we pay for the dinners. We do all the group transportation. We also will hold some group activities because, I mean, we're going to work hard, guys. We're talking 12-hour, 16-hour days of work, right? So we do throw in a couple of activities in between to break it up, otherwise we'll get burned out. And so we'll do some fun things. We got some really cool things in Thailand that we're going to do, and we've got some things that we do again and again that are a lot of fun in China. We're going to introduce you to our China side and our Thailand side contacts, meaning you're going to have direct contact access with them. You don't have to go through us. You can deal direct with those suppliers. You can deal direct with the agents on the other side. I'll introduce you to sourcing agents that you can work with that'll help you find products and help you do the legwork, because there's a lot of legwork on the China side, and when you're half a world away, it's really hard to do that unless you have someone on the other side. So we'll introduce you to those people, and we can provide you the third-party logistics, the FBA or e-commerce prep, packaging and other services with support on the state side. So we can handle everything for you on the state side, and we can put you in contact with and help you develop relationships with people on the China and Thailand sides that can help you there. So that way you can focus on what's important in your business, and that's productivity and not tasks. Because you want to make sure that if you're the CEO of your company, you need to be productive, right? You need to spend your time being productive, not doing the tasks. You outsource tasks. Right? I outsource tasks, or I hire them in-house. I don't do those tasks, not anymore. When I first started, the first few deals, oh yeah. But if you want to scale your company and grow it, you'll see that that's really what happens. And for those of you who sign up on this event, the early bird discount, and we have this, we're only going to have it for the next week or so. I don't know exactly how long do we have this running for, Jeff? 2 weeks, week? 10 days? I don't remember how long you have this going. So, but
yeah, it's actually about a day left, but we might extend it a little bit. We'll see how it goes.
Wow, I don't even know. See, I outsource all that to Jeff. I focus on sourcing. I focus on launching products. I focus on the productivity side, the parts that bring money into our company. I don't focus on the tasks as much. Apologize for that. But we do offer an early bird discount for you guys who sign up. And for the people who sign up, the first 10 people who sign up, I'm going to do some one-on-one time with them, independent of everybody else, and give them a little peek under the hood at a brand new Facebook or a brand new Amazon account that we launched with some brand new products, and we're going to go over some of the tools that I use. that help me to speed up the process of creating my listings and launching my products. So we're going to do some fun stuff with that, and I'll do that for the first 10 people, Jeff. Make a note of that. For the first 10 people, we'll make that happen. So if you guys are interested, hopefully this was educational. Hopefully you got some stuff out of that. We're going to continue along these lines in going into other things to look for, how to protect your money, how to negotiate your contracts. We have quite a few other subjects that we're going to go over in these short webinars. I appreciate it. Let's get into some questions real quick, because I know I'm probably running a little bit long.
Yeah, so we just have a couple of, I've been kind of watching and moderating the questions here, Alan. Just a couple really cool ones. This is an interesting one from Norman. Have you ever asked a manufacturer to live stream from their factory so you can see, what they're doing virtually?
Hey, Norm, great question. And actually, I worked, I was an independent consultant for one of the largest cooler manufacturing companies in the United States, and they manufacture several of their products in China. And one of the challenges that they had was they had to fly engineers and operations people to China on a regular basis, and they spent about $30,000 a month. Excuse me. Doing that, $30,000 a month, having people go over there to do quality control and to do and to check up on things and to check up on their manufacturing runs. And what we did was set up video conferencing, and that was 9 or 10 years ago that we did that. We set up a video conferencing setup for them so that they could just stream that manufacturing plant running their runs on a regular basis. It was real expensive, but today, with cell phones and the capability of our cell phones, it's pretty dang easy to get that to happen if the manufacturer has decent internet. Now, a lot of times the plant may not have great internet necessarily in the plant. Maybe in their offices they do, but they can go run some video and take some photos of your product and send them to you. A lot of those manufacturers generally don't have too much of an issue being able to give you a picture of your product. If they say they can't do it in the plant, won't show your stuff coming off the line, that may not be a manufacturer. Another good question, Norm. Thanks for asking that one. But I have done that. I have made them or asked them to do that before. So thanks, man.
Tom was asking, and you kind of answered this when you did your. You had a great little example of the one shop you went into related to the deposit. He was asking, and you kind of gave that specific example. He was asking, is there kind of a typical across the board when you are in China or going direct to a manufacturer, a deposit amount that they ask for?
Tom, 30% down is pretty much what the e-commerce gurus on Facebook and elsewhere have kind of educated everybody as being the norm in China, and it's really not. It's not the norm. Much like I gave you that Alibaba arbitrage example, where it's not really a manufacturer, they're just selling a product, you buy it, they ask you for 30% down, and then they go and buy the product from the manufacturer and pay them. China is a cash-based economy, and so when you buy something, they'll deliver it, and then they expect payment. But generally, they don't expect you to pay big deposits. It wasn't the last trip. The trip prior to that, we tried as a group to do 100% zero deposit purchases from manufacturers. That was our goal. It was just we were having fun with it because people don't believe that you can do that. We have the beauty, the things that we have is we have feet on the street in a warehouse in China. And because we have that, and we have a partner, a Chinese business partner in China, we're able to talk to the manufacturers and not have to put those deposits down. They feel more comfortable dealing with us. Your word means a lot in China, and relationships mean a lot in China. And if you have good relationships, then you can do a lot. If you don't have good relationships, then you can't. If you're dealing with people on Alibaba via e-commerce, you have zero relationship. And if all you get is a few emails, and I know how Westerners email, we suck. Sorry, I'm using that, but we really do. We don't develop relationships very well. And 140 characters in text is not a relationship, guys. And a Facebook friend is not a relationship. They value real relationships. So being there face to face shows you're committed. You spent the money and time to come all the way there. And it's not that expensive. Not really. In the big picture, it's super friggin' cheap. And you have some local representation. You have a local warehouse. You know, that gives us an advantage. Most of the time, I don't have to put any deposits down. When I do, it's usually because I'm doing a big order and I'm customizing the holy heck out of stuff. And usually the deposit is covering screen printing, print plate charges, or molds, stuff of that type, or dies. You know, and so even then, it's not really big. If you got a screen print plate or a print plate charge in the U.S., I just got a quote on one, $250 for a print plate charge. It's like $25 in China. Because if we look at the material it takes to make it, and we look at what it really takes to make it, it's not worth $250. The U.S., we just cost more because we have too many friggin' rules, you know, or whatever. Whatever it is, it drives up our costs. That's why they're there. China doesn't have those problems, challenges, issues. So things are cheaper there. But relationships are everything. You can go there with zero down, and a lot of times I'd be surprised if anybody who comes with us spent over 10% across their budget down, unless they just went to one place, bought a whole lot, and had it super customized. Good question, though. Thanks, Tom.
We got a couple people here that are asking about research, which I know kind of opens up.
Hey, John Ross
just, I didn't know.
John Ross has gone with us more than once, a couple times, and John Ross just wants to say, and he said this, and I don't like to toot my own horn, but John's going to help here to toot the horn of our volunteer logistics liaison. Our concierge, the people who help everybody, they're invaluable. These people are true customer service experts, and they answer your emails super quick. They respond to you. They help you find what you need. If you need to get your passport, if you need to get visas, if you need transportation from the airport to the hotel, if you need whatever you need, if you need special meal requirements, these guys are awesome. John just wanted to point that out. He's been with us a couple times, and he's a great guy. Thanks, John, for pointing that out. By the way, John was volunteer logistics in China with us on 2 trips ago. So good one, John. Thanks, man. It made me laugh.
That is funny. Yeah, I saw that comment from him. Yeah, a couple of people kind of opened up a can of worms here a little bit about, you know, research. Like, how do you know what you want? How do you know what manufacturers to go to? How do you do your research when you're there? I wasn't sure how you wanted to handle that.
Yeah, no problem. You know, no problem at all. I see that. Linda asked that one. I see that she ended. What if I don't know what I want?
And Liz is asking it farther down as well. So
guys, you know, I've been around for a little while, so I've done a lot of things, and I definitely like to, you know, I have my favorite things. You know, my company, GDW, stands for Gadget Deals Wholesale, Inc. GDW, Gadget Deals Wholesale. When I first started, we sold TVs, iPods, iPads, mostly gadgety electronics type stuff. I had a really good contract, and I sold liquidated products out of Costco's and Sam's Clubs. And that's how I started this company. That business got eaten up. The margins got squeezed out. The economy changed. And liquidated isn't as good anymore. Not at all. The products tends to be picked through. The manufacturers and retailers have learned that they can make more money. And the third party lot sellers who sell lots of liquidated products don't tend to be, they tend to cherry pick stuff and not sell you good products. They just want to sell off the stuff that they didn't want when they got it. So I kind of got out of that business, but I still remember our roots. But one thing I learned from having gone through highly desirable products is that I want to sell stuff people want to buy. I really don't care about what the product is so much. I'm not married to a product. Now, a lot of people are, and if you want to get into something you're passionate about, say you're passionate about working out and fitness, so you want to get into the fitness niche, then get into the fitness niche, but don't get stuck on a product. What you want to do is find products that people are already buying, source those products, and offer it to a consumer base of people who already want what you have to offer. If you want the fastest way, this is the fastest way to build a business from $0 to $1 million. I launched a brand new Amazon account right before the fourth quarter. We got beat up on the fourth quarter, and started putting some listings in and started trying to launch products in that. All brand new products, all private label. And we missed it, and I got the same problem everybody else did last year, and that was we couldn't get into FBA until December 19th. So December 20th, we started shipping products into Amazon, and we're still shipping products into Amazon now. And I'm going to take that Amazon account, which some of you lucky people who sign up will be able to see what I'm doing, and I'm going to take that account from 0 to 1 million plus a year in 12 months. Meaning by next January, that account will be over $1 million in revenue. That's top line revenue. Okay, now, a lot of people talk about top line revenue, but I'm going to take it to $1 million in top line revenue, and we'll average probably about 30% net on an average. It'll be plus or minus. Some products are a lot heavier, some products may be a little bit lighter, but we'll average about 30% net. I'm happy from 25 to 30% net on that number, and I'm going to do that with these types of products. But I'm not married to any one product. I find a good niche that has a high demanding customers that are looking for products in that niche. Example, pets. And then I will drive that niche very hard. And I will go and find products in that niche that have a demand by consumers, and I will source products and differentiate them to be my own. So they're my private label products, not somebody else's. And then I will launch those products into that niche and market them to the consumers who are already buying them. I don't want to recreate the wheel. I've spent 20 years in IT working on voice over IP and video. I helped launch voice over IP when nobody knew what it was. Today, you guys take advantage of it. We're using it right now in this webinar. Voice and video was where I was at from 1996 on in the IT world. So I know what death by 1,000 paper cuts, and I know how expensive and how hard it is to launch products that nobody knows anything about or doesn't understand. It's great to be an inventor, but it's hard to move that type of a product. But it's real easy to move a product that's been improved in a market where people are already buying products. So hopefully that helps you guys understand it. And one of the things we do in the pre-trip webinar is I show you guys how I find those products. I show you how I identify the market and whether the market's any good or not. I show you how I identify fad products versus what I call seasonal products or what is considered an evergreen product. Evergreen products sell all year long. Seasonal products only sell during the season they were manufactured to go on. And fad products are short-lived, and they come and they go away. Hoverboards. Sorry, I didn't want to say that. So, you know, fad products. Matter of fact, guys, your cell phones are all fad products. And I can show you why. And you'll learn why I say that when I show you how I find that out, how I determine if those products are good. So I look in those niches, I find a niche, and then I look at the products and I determine which ones have demand, and those are the ones I'm going to go after. And I'll teach you that.
Cool.
Pedro brought something up I want to address. Pedro, you're absolutely wrong. Pedro says this. He says, well, since we're going together as a group and we're all seeing the same suppliers and getting the same contacts, wouldn't we end up buying similar or the same products and have to compete with each other? We're small. If one of your customers is large and has more capital, can they crush us in competition? All right, so Pedro, if you're all shopping on Alibaba, can't they do the same thing? Yes. When we go to a market like Ewu, there's 70,000 vendors and I don't know how many millions of products. Will you choose a niche that somebody else is going to choose? the same niche? Yes, probably, but you're going to do that whether you go to ASD, whether you go on Alibaba, whether you deal directly with the manufacturer. You're going to do that anyway. The thing is, what did I just say a minute ago? It's finding a niche with a demand by a market, a real market. You know, and you find that niche with a real market, and then you differentiate your product different than everybody else. If you can do that, you can sell and be successful in it, no matter if there's other competition or not. If somebody else has more capital, they can crush you anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But, Pedro, we do one thing on all our trips. We sign non-compete, non-disclosure agreements. So basically meaning you can communicate within your group comfortably without concerns that they're going to buy the exact same products. And I've launched over 400 products of my own, but I've got customers. We've moved over 1 million products, 1 million products through our business last year, 1 million units, 1 million units last year, and we'll probably do more this year. I see different people buy different things. We've taken hundreds of people on these trips, and although I may see one person buy something similar to the other person, I've never saw them buy exactly the same thing, and where they're having problems. As far as similarity, guess what? I don't care if I go and I buy red chopsticks on my own without you, because one, you're going as a group, but you're not shopping as a group. You guys go off independent on your own. In China, you have your own translator, and you go off on your own. Now, we go together for the first couple of days until you feel comfortable enough to go off on your own. And then you go off on your own, and then you come back and see me during office hours to validate whether you got the idea. And you can keep going back into the market with me every single day until you feel comfortable, and make that happen. And you can ask anybody who's gone. I do that all the time, because I want you to be able to do this on your own, and I don't want you all going into the market. See, we're not, again, I look at these other e-commerce gurus who copied or do similar things, and they take 100 people to a trip. I don't do that. I've never taken anywhere close to that amount, and I won't. It's too many. You can't manage it, and it doesn't work well. Second, they get 3 translators for 100 people, which basically means you got 33 people per translator all going to the same stores using the same translator. Yeah, that doesn't work for me either. That doesn't work for me either. But if I teach you how to do it and help you get your own translator, and you go off and do it on your own, and then I just help coach you and help validate things as you're moving forwards and educate you, then you can do it on your own. So you're not going to have that problem. It's not going to be as prevalent. And it's going to be just like going to Alibaba, except you're going to get better pricing. You're going to have the logistics already in place. You're going to have a company in the U.S. You're going to have people on the street in China who work for you to do it. And you'll know the difference between one of those manufacturers and one of those suppliers. So hopefully that answers your questions and helps you out with that one, Pedro. But it's a great question, dude. And I'm sorry that in our trip webinars that we do, I talk about that in more depth. But hopefully that was a quick crash course to show you I do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. If I buy red chopsticks and you go off with your own translator and you find a different supplier who also sells chopsticks and you buy black ones, am I going to be mad at you? No way, because you didn't come in and copy my customization, my color from my supplier and buy exactly the same thing. Did we both happen to think the same way or want to drive into that same niche? Yes, but that'll happen anyway. That's going to happen anyway, especially with all the tools out there helping people do stuff. All right, cool one, buddy.
Cool.
But thank you for that. That's a good question, man. And I bet you there are other people who also have that very same question. So I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's something that a lot of people I know think about and are concerned with, and sometimes just don't ask. They're afraid to ask. So I am glad he brought that up. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be listening to the recording of that, so I'm really glad he brought that up, and they can all hear this. Felicia is asking really quick. She can't go to China with us. How can we help her?
Yeah, so Felicia, I have a lot of people. I've had a lot of people ask that. And what what we're looking at, because we've had such a demand from people asking for it, is we're looking at ways we can try to do some things to help you out. Now, you could hire a sourcing agent in China and tell them what you're looking for and have them and go be the feet on the street there, and they can go and look and then give and send information back to you. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay that person. Is it worth it? Yeah, if you're doing the volume and you're making purchases and selling, it can definitely be worth it. But there's definitely some cost in making that happen, and there's definitely back and forth. So if you're in the United States, you've got a time delay. So it isn't as convenient. It's harder to source as many products unless you source from a single manufacturer, which is something you could do. But we're looking at ways we can make that happen. And then because of people like you, Felicia, asking that same question, we're looking at now that we have this big facility here and we have a large training room and we have the capabilities, we're looking at possibly doing some boot camps, maybe some web-based boot camps, going over a lot of the things that I teach in China and a lot of the things that I teach based on like the subject we're talking about now, but maybe in more depth, and actually doing examples and more like a boot camp, but helping you out. So we're looking at what we can do to make that happen, Felicia. Stay tuned. I think we'll have some good, surprising things for you in the very, very near future. I see Elizabeth asking about the October trip. I'm going to China in October for sure. But I don't know what the other country is going to be. Right now, we're trying to do Korea. We already have some feet on the street in Korea, but I got to get the logistics set up and make sure that there's something worthwhile. That's one of the things. I don't want to go there and be experimenting. I want to go there and be there. So I actually have to make sure that we have everything set up before we do that. That's what we're shooting for, but I'm not going to guarantee it. So we're trying to make that one happen, where we'll do a combo trip and it'll be like Korea and China. And with our combo trips, you can go to one or the other or both. It's up to you. And I'll welcome you to either one or both. Not a problem.
And it's the same price whether you do both or one or the other. Yeah, that's right.
You don't pay for each. If you sign up for one, you're automatically can go to both. No problems. No problems at all. Matter of fact, you can actually do a membership deal and go with me all year long and do multiple trips. We haven't announced that yet, so you guys just heard it for the first time from me. We just launched a membership program where basically you can come on one trip you can come on every trip all year long in a membership deal and get to take advantage of our shipping, our container shipping rates, all our logistics for every trip all year long. And I think it's a massively outstanding value. You're going to get to go to multiple places throughout the world and source, and you're going to get all the logistics support on the back end. We handle customs, we handle duty, we handle the logistics of getting the containers loaded. We can handle all of that stuff. And then on top of that, you get preferential treatment for FBA prep. So all of our prep services and packaging services, we're going to give preferential treatment to our members. So that's something I probably busted Jeff's bubble by telling you guys a little early. So he may cut that out for the public.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Hey, Liz asked a great question. When I'm going to the fairs, do I do research right there on the spot? Or do I go back to the hotel and do research and then come back and work out the details? And the answer to that, Liz, is both. I do research on the spot because it tells me you can do some real basic research real quick on the spot, and get a rough idea. And then that tells me whether or not I want to proceed and move forwards or whether I want to move on to the next opportunity. When you have 2 million opportunities sitting in front of you, why do I want to spend a whole bunch of time on one potential opportunity? If the initial data from the research that you could do easily on your cell phone tells you this looks good, well then okay, let's see what's happening. If the initial research that you do initially on your laptop or whatever on your phone, I do it on my phone, says that this is potentially not so good, or I don't know enough about the market, or it's just not feeling it right there, then I may not move forwards. But otherwise, I would definitely go back to my hotel room and dig deeper, gather all the data, because we make decisions based on data. At least I do. When I'm buying a product, I'm going to make my decision based on data. If you make your decision based on emotions, you lose most of the time, right? Because emotionally, we're terrible buyers. If we go and buy, the stock market's in. How many of you guys bought Apple stock when it was $900 a share? You should have been buying it when it was a couple of pennies, right? Because we're buying emotionally. Everybody's all hyped up and they're Apple fans and they're fanatics and they want to go buy it, and they buy the shares way too expensive, right? That's losing on the buy, not winning on the buy. So you want data to make intelligent purchases. So I definitely would say that I would do both, but that doesn't say I haven't bought stuff right on the spot. And I've also lost because of that. So I like to do the data stuff, and we go over that, and I actually teach you how. And I teach you that in the pre-trip webinar, and then we go over it again in the masterminds when we're there, because I find that, you know, you may not get everything every time we go through it, and you learn more the more times we go over the same subject. Timothy Archer, yes, automobile manufacturing plants. No, I don't go to buy automotive manufacturing plants, but I do know that and have gone to automotive part manufacturers that do aftermarket parts, and have gone to them and toured their facilities. So, and they are available. So that's cool. China's automotive manufacturing is starting to take off. They do have some companies that are starting to move forwards in manufacturing, but having been in some of their cars, I'm not really excited about trying to go and look at their automobiles until their quality comes back up. The Chinese don't even necessarily want to buy Chinese cars. They want to buy European and American, by the way. Jack, you know, that's a good one, and that's one of the things that helps me make that decision, and it helps I make my decisions on data points, much like I talked about a minute ago. Jack says, if a company can give you a product catalog, is that a reliable tell that they are a manufacturer? Yeah, if it's their catalog. Trust me, I've been into sourcing companies, import-export companies that'll give you a catalog of somebody else's, and I've also been into some big import-export companies that have thousands and thousands of products and a massive catalog, but they don't manufacture any of it. They're just a very big, very good import-export company. So it's not always a reliable one, but again, it does give me more data. Usually you're going to get more information about the manufacturer, you're going to get more photographs, you're getting more information about the founder and the company's employees, you're going to be able to see certifications that they have and things like that. So all that data just helps you to feel more comfortable that you're dealing with that manufacturer. And then the final fun part is going to the actual manufacturing plant and seeing them work. By the way, you will find that some people will call China has more cottage industries than anywhere else I've ever been. It's insane how many small businesses there are. And, you know, there may be a small business and they're a manufacturer, but they're in a 1,000-square-foot warehouse manufacturing stuff in that warehouse with a couple of sewing machines and a couple of lights, and there really isn't a whole lot else, and that's a manufacturer. So you'd be surprised, and that's another reason to go to the manufacturing plant, especially on a product that you're doing really good at, to ensure that they can handle your volume. That's generally where I find the most problem is I start ordering volume, I start ordering mass volumes and growing the heck out of a niche, and I find manufacturers can't keep up and their quality starts to fall off, and it's because either they're a really small manufacturer or they're a trading company. Hey, Kent has a good question. When you go on these trips, how much cash should you bring? Very little. Enough to handle, you know, your basic stuff that you need. We try to stay in hotels that will accept credit cards. Again, China and Thailand are both cash-based economies. Unless you've got a Chinese bank account with RMB and you can use WeChat, which is like the one app to rule them all. Lord of the Rings reference there. you generally, it's a cash-based economy. But the hotels, they try to make it so that you can just pay for that with a credit card. But taxi cabs, buses, food, that's all going to be cash. And so you probably want enough cash to handle that. And I recommend people. I've gone, and generally the first time I went, I had $50,000 cash U.S., which was the money I had to basically not make the purchases, but to get the purchases moving, because I'm used to 30% down, right? I got a budget and I'm bringing all this cash. And I went there and I spent less than $5,000. It was nuts. I had all this cash, and my partner now, which was just my sourcing agent at the time, basically says, "Why'd you bring all that cash?" And I'm like, "Because I got to put the deposits down." And she laughed, and I didn't put hardly anything down at all. And when it was done, I had all this cash that I had converted to RMB and everything, and I'm like, "What am I going to do with this?" And so what I did was I just gave it to my sourcing supplier, and I said, "Here, this is a deposit. Put this in the bank, and when I place the orders, use this to pay for the products." Because I had made that mistake. I haven't made that mistake again. If my budget in the next trip is let's say my budget in the next trip is $50,000, and I'm just going to use that number. I'll bring 2 or 3. That'll be it. And you can it's pretty easy to get cash there. The banks, it's not a third world country. They're pretty sophisticated. Their banking's pretty good, so you can get cash through an ATM machine if you need to. I can wire remotely using Cash Manager or something like that if I need to. But most of the time, you'll find that you don't need it. And also, you can always cover those deposits after you get back, if you need them at all. Alrighty, so let's see. The questions are going to go. We have a lot of good questions, man, Jeff.
Yep.
All right, so it looks like did somebody ask a question about? I see a question related to another question from, and I will mess up a name. I apologize. I'm going to try it. I always like to try. Ifeyinwa. And if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize right off the bat. But she says that she's interested in something about, somebody else sourcing because your husband won't be available to travel with you. Well, we travel in a group, so you're going to be there. There'll be 20, 30 people, 40 people. 20 to 30 is generally our number, 20 on an average. People is what I like to take. I don't want to take 40 again. 20 to 30 is plenty for me because it spreads me too thin. And so as far as that's concerned, we're basically work together as a group, so it's very safe. And so you don't unless your husband forbids it, you can definitely travel safely with a group, so you're not going all by yourself. Got it. Now I get it. Never mind. There was a second part of that. I apologize. Yeah, if you got a small baby and you got it's not a convenient time to go so much. So I can appreciate that one, and we'll definitely keep you up to date on those webinars as we put together that boot camp and help you out on that side, and then help you learn how to hire a sourcing agent and what to do there and stuff like that. Sailor, great question from the U.S. A lot of people asking that question today. So, tariffs. Trump said something about tariffs. He's trying to get even the trade field. U.S.-China trade has been lopsided for a long time. That's why we can get such cheap products. China actually does that on purpose, and I understand why, and it makes sense. They're moving to a manufacturing economy, and we've moved to more of an electric and a technical economy. So we have 2 different economies, and we spread our technology around the globe, allowing other countries to do the work as we learn to do other things, good and bad things in that. But I don't see Trump's tariffs as being an issue because there are tariffs already there today. It's called duty, and duty is based on tariffs and tariffs are different based upon product, material, and country. And so they're going to be there. If Trump increases the tariffs, one, he's going to go through a lot of fights on it, although he can do it, and legally he can do it because it is part of the charter for the executive branch as far as the Constitution of the United States of America. So he can do it, and if he does, it's just going to make all that does is pass on to the end consumer. So what it's going to mean is that something you buy for $1, and you pay 1% tariff today, you'll pay 20% tariff on. So that $1 product, $1.01 product that landed in the U.S. is going to cost you $1.20, and you're going to pass it on to the consumer. That's all it's going to mean. It's going to go straight over to the consumer. So the consumers may slow down buying some Chinese stuff. Is it going to bring manufacturing back to the U.S.? I doubt it, because I don't see young people wanting to go to work. I don't see young people going to school and wanting to go to work. Now, I think and that's the young kids who go to college. I think there's a segment of our population who could do it and should do it, and trade schools, if we would if we would fix the education system and get trade schools in place so these people could learn trades like machine shop and things like that you would need to be able to do manufacturing jobs, it would be great. Do I agree with the tariffs? I think our tariff are lopsided, because selling something into other countries, our car in, I think it was Norway, is 180% tariff, selling our vehicle into Norway. And it's the same thing. Our product's going into China, the tariffs are high, but they want our tariffs to be lower. So I think all he wants to do is equal the tariffs and force China to give equal tariffs in both directions instead of it being one-sided. You know, it's a political thing. We'll see what happens. You know, I don't think it is going to stop anybody or slow anybody down. But maybe it'll keep some people who really shouldn't be in business from going into business. Sorry, that's my personal opinion on that part. But I don't think it's going to affect us that much. We are a consumer-based nation. We will continue to buy. Pam, info on the membership deal. Good question. I leaked it ahead of the launch, so you guys just learned about it. It has been leaked. It isn't launched yet. When it launches, just keep your eyes out and your ears out and your emails out, and stay in the Facebook group and all that kind of stuff, because you will hear about it and as we launch out the official web pages and everything to launch that opportunity out to you. So it'll be there. Thank you for asking. Terrence Dowdle's on, and Terrence was in China with us, and he basically said, make sure you have your pocket Wi-Fi. And I would agree with that in China, but I find that the 4G Wi-Fi in China has some challenges because they don't allow you to do Gmail, they don't like anything Google, they don't like Facebook at all, which I can understand because they disrupt society, really. They're disruptors as far as societal, a lot of junk on there. So you need to have Wi-Fi. Now, what Terrence doesn't know is there's Wi-Fi in the market. You just need to ask the shop owners for the access code, and they'll give you the access code, and then you can get Wi-Fi in the market. We have that, but there are dead spots and places you'll need it, so generally you want some 4G to cover that, to make it happen. And we've found that China's internet does well sometimes, and then just dog out slows some other times. We've seen crazy, stupid working and then not working. It's insane how it is. But definitely you want to have your 4G and potentially make sure you can do tethering on your deal to do it that way. Sailor, we can definitely help you with the SIM card, getting them. We've learned some really cool lessons about SIM cards. A lot of people will get them right out of the airport in places like Shanghai or Beijing, and then they'll travel by train or car or whatever into Yiwu, and then they'll get an Yiwu, and all of a sudden they run out of data. They paid for 3 gigs, and they used about a couple hundred megs, and then their SIM card's off, and they wonder why. And we found out is that they're kind of regional. And if you buy a SIM card in Shanghai, it doesn't guarantee it's going to work in Yiwu. You may get less data in what they call out of, and this is something we had in the United States that voice over IP killed. Okay, in the United States, you you would be roaming. We would call it roaming. And so they have the same thing in China today. And if you're going to buy a SIM card in Shanghai and then you use it in Yiwu, you're 4 hours away, and you would be considered roaming. You would only get so many roaming megabits of data, and then they would just shut you off. So what we do is we help facilitate you going and getting your SIM card in Yiwu or in Thailand, so that you don't have that problem. And we help make sure that we know what brand of phone and everything you got, so that they know which carrier works the best, because not all carriers work the same on each carrier's phone. In other words, Verizon's on a different channel or band than whatever, so you go to do that. SIM cards go into iPhones. Niche questions and stuff like that. Appreciate it, guys. I know we're running long. I'm going to have to get back to work here in a second. I'll get time for like one more. Do we got one more good question, Jeff?
I'm not seeing anything that you haven't, either covered or is really specifically, niche based.
Yeah, you got it. Tim, you're asking about the membership program. That's going to be launched here soon. We have your information. I'll make sure that the guys get it to you. So that way you'll have all that here coming up real soon. I'd say hopefully within the next week. We should be able to have that out to you guys who are interested in the membership program. Otherwise, definitely just want to let you know I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Hopefully this went, again, a little bit long, but hopefully you guys got good value out of it. You guys asked really great questions. We look forward to it. I'm going to do the next. What's the next topic on this one? I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, man. You put me on the spot. I don't.
Yeah, I don't put you on the spot, man.
I don't have it in front of me either.
You get to coast.
Actually, hold on. Hold on. I think I've got it right here, actually.
Sailor, yes, there's a replay.
Just for 1 second. Yeah, we'll post it. All right, next is about spending too much money in advance or paying 100% before you even receive the product.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how to save you your money. We're going to talk about how to protect your money. That's the next subject. So the next one we bring out here next week, I think, is going to be about how you can protect your money in China. We want to make sure that you guys are empowered with the information to help you protect yourself as best as you can. So we'll talk about that, and we hopefully will see you guys on there. We appreciate it. Close this out, Mr. Jeff. Have a great day, guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. As you can see, man, the Q&A is always my favorite parts of the webinar, because we're not in your brains and we don't know what you don't know that you want to know. I don't even know if I just said that right. But, it's really awesome to do these. I love doing these. There's so many people out there, and they do what we call in the marketing world push marketing on you, and they may not even answer your questions. And I love that we just let you guys just kind of open up and help you out as the best we can. But that takes you asking great questions. So, Alan, we may actually change the format up even a little bit on some of these future ones to make sure we can get, more questions in and things like that. But we'll figure that out. Thank you guys very much. I know some of you guys are on this during work or late at night or in the middle of the night or something, because we do have a global audience. But again, thanks again. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Alan, for all the unbelievable and thorough information and not leaving any stone unturned. And we will talk to you guys again really soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.